Sal was just on and like Cincy, he's taking Cincy, he's picking them win the Super Bowl.
He's not alone.
The cases are resilient team, great in close games, a little 0-1 Patriots-ish. Excellent QB, fantastic kicker. Won a shootout against KC week 17, so they have that in them. Won a smash mouth game.
Tennessee.
Week 19 against Tennessee. Some mild nobody believes in us vibes. You can't really play that card when a lot of people are picking you to win outright. Their defense, which is like that classic, you don't love it. The advanced metrics don't go crazy about it, but in big situations has a tendency to get stops, make plays. In the red zone against the 3 playoff teams, they were 8-13 getting stops. They were 5 out of 9 getting stops inside the 10, which is crazy. 7 turnovers in 3 games. Not bad. Dropped a couple too. And if you're making the case for them, I guess you're saying just the hot streak continues.
Hottest hand.
Don't bet against the hot team. Be careful betting against Joe Burrow. You'll have some Rams stuff. I'm not sold on the Rams because of this, and this. They won the KC game without any of their top 3 guys really playing that great, which I think is a good sign for them. And then just McPherson as the Adam Vinatieri, basically. Yeah. So I think if you're making the case for them, I think it's an ugly game. There's field goals. It's like a little like that Titans game, maybe some more points, but what am I missing? What's the case for them?
Yeah,
beyond what I just laid out.
I've been trying to put my finger on why they're so compelling and why they're so likable also. The other case to be made, and this is like, it goes with the nobody believes in us, but it's almost like a corollary to it, is that it's not that big a deal to them in a weird way. Like I've gotten a chance to really get in with this team over the last couple of weeks, not only following their media, but now that we're narrowing it down and we've had our show for 2 weeks, we're just talking about 2 teams. I've had access to Zac Taylor, access to the players. And it doesn't seem like it's the moment is so big. What a cool deal. It's just the opposite. And it starts with Burrow, and this guy is unflappable, has never lost a playoff game in college or the pros. He said earlier this week that he was more nervous for his high school championship game because now in the Super Bowl, he feels like he's had enough reps where he knows what he's expecting. And if that came out of anyone else's mouth, it would be on Twitter, oh my God. But you almost believe him because that's just who he's been this entire way. And there is a really refreshing deal with this team that in 2022, they have something that I don't think we've seen in sports for guys this young, and it's called humility. Burrow has not tweeted since June 1st. We interview all these other players, and it's we had Tyler Boyd on the show and Aditi Kinkabwala, who does a lot of the AFC North stuff for NFL Network, was talk to us what makes this team so special. And Tyler Boyd is a very talented wide receiver. And he's like, have you seen our defense? Our defense steps up. And I'm like, wow, I love that. A 27-year-old wide receiver in the NFL. Let's talk about our defense. Zac Taylor doesn't use the word I or me. And then Chase and Burrow are the most refreshing stars that we've had in recent years because they deflect everything. There's no praise that they're looking for.
Feels a little like the Patriots coming out of the huddle as a team. Yeah.
It really does. And I won't be surprised if they come out as a team out of the tunnel. And this whole deal has been yeah, we could beat the Chiefs because we beat them already once and we're down 21-3, but we're not phased. We've got Joe Burrow. And yeah, we can get him sacked 9 times, but do you ever see Burrow chewing out those linemen? It's really refreshing. It's really hard not to like this team. And when you're talking about this, and it's almost a little hokey, it's almost a little cliche, this blue collar team when their punter, Kevin Huber, got up at that pep rally on Monday night, he cried because he's from Cincinnati. And
yeah,
I'm a cynic. I want to roll my eyes and say, enough with this shit. What are we talking about? These are millionaire athletes. And then you kind of have to buy in on that. So the case for the Bengals is that people are believing in them, but this moment is almost not too big for them because though they've only won 4 games the past 2 years, they feel like they belong. And they're not selfish about it. They're not look at me about it. They're kind of likable in that nature.
And they would need Stafford to collapse. At least be shaky. Yeah. Collapse would be ideal, but at least shaky Stafford would be the other piece for them. All right. The case against Cincy.
been a Cinderella story, but I mean, come on.
barely held on against Vegas. What happens if Carr doesn't spike on first down, right?
What happened if there's a whistle?
Yeah.
There's
All that
things.
stuff. Yeah, they score 6 points in the second half of that game. They get that free touchdown on Tyler Boyd. Vegas does just a shitload of dumb things. Remember, like
the kickoff,
kickoff outside the 2-yard line, like a host of those. Yeah. First down and 9, and Carr spikes, and then all of a sudden, I mean, disaster. So they escape. Tennessee game, 3 Tannehill picks, including one to start the game. Tennessee has the ball on the Cincy 35 with 7 minutes left and runs 2 of the worst plays ever.
Yep.
Gets stuffed. But then Cincy punts to them. They get it back and they throw a pick. So I almost felt like Tennessee lost that game more than Cincy won. And then last week, KC mangles the end of the first half. They mangle the end of the second half. Mahomes has one of the most bizarre games of any superstar we could remember. KC doesn't run the ball. They're dropping 8 back. Casey's running the ball for 6 yards a pop. They just stop.
McKinnon was literally running the ball for 6 yards the entire first half, and then they stopped going to him in the second half. The game, Tyreek Hill, invisible in the second half.
One of the worst second half things from a coaching standpoint. Burrow, only 6.6 yards per pass in that game. Mixon, 21 for 88. He was fine, but really that was another one where the Chiefs laid over. So either the Bengals have this mystical power or... so you got that. Then I have a couple more. Their offensive line couldn't block Tennessee at all. Like at all.
9 sacks.
The Rams front 4, I would say, is at least somewhat comparable to that Tennessee line. Since he scored 5 touchdowns and 12 field goals.
They do not finish in the red zone. Very rarely. The Chase touchdown in that big play on Fenton. But yes, very rarely do they finish drives. You're right.
That makes me super nervous. The Rams run D, which we'll talk about when we talk about the Rams, has been out of control. There's a chance the Bengals can't run the ball at all in this game. Also, a home game for the Rams.
I want to talk about
this.
Get to
sleep in their beds. In their homes.
Yeah,
hold that thought. And then we know Uzama's potentially hurt, maybe playing hurt or not playing at all. And then from an advanced metrics standpoint, I mentioned this to Sal. The Rams are 5th in DVOA, and Cincinnati, even now with the 3 wins, is still 17th.
Huh.
This is a team that, from an advanced metric standpoint, does not make a lot of sense. It's an intangibles team. It's we needed this to happen. It's a hot guy at the blackjack table team. And I'm always nervous to go against those teams. But statistically, there's not a lot going on here compared to what the Rams have going on. What else am I missing?
Can I go in depth on the home field thing? Because I think it's a huge deal, and no one is talking about just how big a deal it is.
We saw it with last year with Tampa.
We saw it last year, and that was a Tampa team that was on the road the entire playoffs. The Rams have been in their bed since January 25th when they beat the Buccaneers. They came home. They have slept in their beds, on their pillows, under their sheets, going to there, doing their morning routine in their facility every single day since then. And then you get to the point of actual Super Bowl week where it's hysteria for the Bengals. They get here on a Tuesday afternoon and some families here and we need to get tickets there. And the Bengals have not done this in 33 years. And the Bengals, between us, I don't know if they're breaking the bank on making sure this is a first-class experience for everyone involved. And now we're maybe dealing with some of the things that other teams
doesn't sound like them.
I'm just laying out the facts that there is a uphill battle for the Bengals arriving in LA on Tuesday compared to Stan Kroenke's billionaire team where we're going to pay for everything. You guys do what we do. We're going to practice at our facility. Then our hotel the night before the game is the same hotel we stayed at every game. And then you get to game day, Bill, where it's not only on the West Coast, on our usual West Coast schedule. The Rams have played at SoFi in 8 regular season games, 2 playoff games, 2 preseason. This is going to be their 13th game in that building, in their own locker room. I think it's the most home games a team is ever going to play in an NFL season with 13 straight games, or 13 games on there. And then here's the deal. You've been to SoFi, right? Have you been?
No, Sunday's going to be my first time.
Okay. It is jarring. Like you walk in and that Oculus will blow you away. The sound, as you and Sal mentioned, the chain smokers were doing it. It's pounding. It is a sight to behold. Now, on any game, I think that's something to kind of get your adjustment to. Then you add in the Super Bowl piece to it. Then you add in the fact that one Bengal has ever played in a Super Bowl. Ricardo
Well, and then
Allen.
the Rams were in it 3 years ago, and they know the rhythm of it now. They know how long that halftime break is and all that stuff. That it's
All that
a way
stuff.
longer game than you're used to.
They are so used to the beats. You've got a coaching staff that's coached in it. Raheem is coached in it. Sean McVay's coached in it. Zac Taylor was a quarterback's coach in it. I think there's a significant difference when you combine the home field, the ticket asks, all the situations with, all right, but where do we have to go? Oh, we're getting on the buses at this time, traffic, all that stuff matters. And I think you put that combined with the experience level, I think that at the very least, it's not just a 3-point difference on the spread. I think it is a significant difference. And I think the Rams are going to play to their advantage with that.
So you think the Bengals have the families in like Norco and San Bernardino?
I'd say the Chatsworth area might be where the hotels are this week.
I love that angle. The cheap Bengals. It finally comes back to haunt them. Yeah. So with the Bengals, I was trying to think if they win. We'll wrap this up and then we'll go to the Rams in the next segment. But if the Bengals win, here would be the post-win narratives.
Oh, I love this.
I think they would go down as one of the most improbable Super Bowl champs ever, right? If we're talking 0-1 Pats,
99
07
Rams.
Giants, but 99 Rams, but they were good that whole season.
That's
so
true.
it was improbable in August, but not improbable heading into the playoffs. 2017 Eagles losing Wentz.
Yeah.
1990 Giants losing Sims.
Yep.
They would move into whatever group, however many teams you want to put in that group, they would immediately move in there. And I think the 0-1 Pats would be, if they lose, I think they would kind of be more like 0-3 Panthers-ish.
Sure. This was a fun
like,
story.
oh yeah, really fun story.
08 Cardinals.
Yeah, another one. More post-win narratives for them. Burrow would now become the guy.
He's the man. He's the face of the NFL.
Yep. It's crazy, right?
It's nuts.
Mahomes is like, what happened? Herbert's like, I'm right here.
I'm ready, guys. Pro Bowl.
Lamar's wondering what happened. We'd have a lot of Burrow and Chase. Is this the next Montana and Rice? Go that. Is this one of the best duos ever already? What's the ceiling for that? That would be 2 days on Good Morning Football. We'd have the Bengals now out of the teams that haven't won the Super Bowl club. There's 12 right now.
Oh, good call.
So we'd be down to 11. Now, the Super Bowl, it's only been around since 1967. So we've only had 56. But
we don't count the Lions, the Browns, and they've won championships.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like the Vikings.
Yeah.
You know, the Browns have won NFL titles, but they would move off whatever list that is. And then I think it'd be hilarious if Cincy won a Super Bowl before the Browns.
It would be something. I'll tell you that.
That's like, it's just bizarre all the way around. The Brown family, but the Browns don't. Any other post-win narratives that you could see? I guess Zac Taylor, the McVay coaching tree versus the Belichick coaching tree would get some of that.
Yeah, and I think there's also something to how they built their team where it's you draft players in the draft and then you don't have to sign crazy veterans. Instead, you sign economically and fiscally responsible veterans, like guys like a Mike Hilton or guys like Hendrickson and Reeder. And these guys, they got paid, but like Bengals did a pretty interesting thing on defense, and they didn't go and hit and swing for home runs where they were signing guys for crazy. They weren't signing Byron Jones for X amount of dollars or Xavier Howard for X. No, they were like, let's stay back in our pocket, make the right signings. And Trey Hendrickson was a couple days into free agency. He got money eventually by the Bengals. But when you look up and down that defense, and it's Eli Apple, it's Von Bell, it's pretty cool that like these aren't the high priced guys necessarily when you look at the highest paid players in the sport, and yet they did really clean up on defense in free agency. Now that's really in the weeds. I don't think there's any other story than the Joe Burrow story.
The other piece would be if they do win, if they shut down the Rams, I think people will be wondering why their defensive coordinator didn't get one of like the 10 available NFL jobs this year.
He interviewed for the Giants. That was the only interview Coach Lou got. One, and what they did against the Chiefs was magical defense. Drop back 8 and Mahomes is just running in circles and they weren't trying to tackle him. They're like, just let Mahomes just do his circles and we'll just play defense. It was fascinating to watch.
Yeah, that was really,
we haven't seen that one.
I don't know if I've ever seen quite a game like that where the quarterback was just, you would think like the longer you bought yourself time, the better it would be. And it was actually somehow worse for him the more time he had.
I was there. I went to Arrowhead. I went as a fan, and I say as a fan, but I went and I didn't work the game. It was the craziest dynamic. First half of the game, it is an absolute. I've never seen momentum sucked out of a building
Yeah.
quite like that one. And I think that defense played to that as well, where it's like Mahomes is doing the Mahomes thing, but then was getting sacked after like 11 seconds or was throwing the ball away. It was fascinating. And that's a defensive game plan. It's not just Mahomes, not showing up in the big game. It's because he was confounded by that defense.
Well, that's why the momentum doesn't matter argument is probably my least favorite sports argument, because momentum does matter. And I've been
100%.
in too many buildings and you feel like the Chiefs walking off up 11, but feeling like they're down. That was momentum. The Bengals going into the locker room going, I can't believe we're only down 11. Like, how can people say momentum doesn't matter?
And the bigger possession in that game, and I hate to go back 2 weeks, but the bigger possession was the first possession of third quarter. So Mahomes gets a quick first down, and then they stop him 3 and out. And it's like, oh shit, they could have had 14 points the last 2 drives, and they got nothing. They got 0. And then boom, you get the Chase touchdown, and Trent Taylor 2-point conversion, and now we're tied. Like, fascinating game that was. But that was a real testament to the Bengals defense. The Chiefs, I think, had 3 points in the second half, and like, it was crazy. And they did that to them in week 17 too.